All right, so welcome to our webinar. This particular webinar is entitled How to Highlight Novelty, Innovation, and Uniqueness in Proposal Writing. Okay, so this particular effort is a USDA Food Safety Outreach Program Technical Assistance Grant. This particular grant is a collaboration between Texas Tech University, Alabama A&M University, and Iowa State University. The title of this project is Empowering Minority Serving Institutions Food Safety Specialists to write successful food safety outreach program grants through education, training, and technical assistance. The PI, the principal investigator for this particular project, is Dr. Angela Shaw from Texas Tech University. Co-PI is Dr. Shannon Coleman from Iowa State University, Dr. Christine Strohm from Engineering Science Editors, and myself, Dr. Armitra Jackson-Davis from Alabama A&M University. So for our agenda today, we will start off by giving you some very basic definitions of innovation and novelty. After that, we will go into the importance of innovation and novelty in proposal writing, and then we will touch on collaboration. So our guest speaker for today will be Dr. Aubrey Mendonca from Iowa State University. So let's go ahead and get started. So I would like to start out with this question. So novelty and innovation are really important in proposal writing. Well, the answer to that is a resounding yes. When we think about proposal writing, it does not matter how good your proposal is, how well written our proposals are. If novelty and innovation are missing, that is considered a major flaw in proposal writing. So we have to make sure that we are considering novelty and innovation when we are working within our groups and with our collaborators. So for this particular slide, this is directly out of the RFA for the FSOP program. It's not meant for you to actually read the content on the slide, but you can see in yellow and in the greenish yellow, you can see the words novel, the word novel appears many times. And this is just three snapshots of that. So this slide shows you what the agency, in this case, USDA, what they really think about the word novel and also innovation as well, but we're just focusing on novel. This is RFA from different USDA programs, whether it be antimicrobial resistance, animal health, the same applies. This idea of novelty is really, really important. And even when you get outside of USDA programs, such as NSF, novelty, innovation are very, very important, very key components of proposal writing. So let's take a little bit of time to see what our different dictionaries say about the word novelty or the definition of novelty. You can see some of the definitions that are listed there on the screen: something new or unusual, the quality of being new, different, and interesting. And you can see the other two listed there. But the one word that is common in many of these definitions, or the majority of these definitions, is the word new. So we have to make sure that when we are developing our proposals and our ideas, that we consider this question of, is this really new? Now, when we look at innovation, you can see that there are some definitions that are provided there as well from different dictionaries. The one I like the most is in the middle, where it says the introduction of new things, ideas, or ways of doing something. So what this says to us, that when we think about this term, innovation, and if something is really innovative, we can take a method, for example, that has been used for decades. We can take, a process that has been used, and we can find a different way or a new way of using that very traditional method. So that is what we mean when we talk about the word innovation. Okay, so when we think about innovation and novelty, literature review is where we will start. The only way we will really know if something is truly innovative or if something is truly novel is if we read the literature. Now, if you look at this puzzle, you can see the gray pieces that are there represent that closely related work that relates to whatever your proposed idea is. And you can see your proposed idea is this pink part of the puzzle, because when I think about research and when I think about advancing research, one of the first thoughts that always come to mind is, how does my idea or how does my proposed work fill a gap in knowledge? Now, for this particular puzzle, you can see there's only one piece, there's only one pink piece. But in reality, when we're searching the literature, we may find that there may be 2 or 3 pieces that are missing from the puzzle. So then we may have to determine, okay, which idea will be better for this particular opportunity. So it's very, very important. We cannot overemphasize the importance of a thorough literature review so that you can actually determine whether or not the work you are proposing has been done, because that is the one thing that you don't want to do. You do not want to write a proposal where the work has already been done. I would also like to add here on this slide, a lot of researchers spend weeks, even months, searching the literature thoroughly to determine the quality of their ideas. So this is not a process that is done overnight. This is a process that we really want to make sure that we are taking the time to do very carefully and very thoroughly. Now, when we think about novelty and innovation in research, we have to talk about our collaborators. The people that you choose to partner with can add to the novelty or the innovativeness of your idea. So bringing together a team of individuals is key. It's key. Also, to even further emphasize that, bringing together a key individuals who will actually add value to your team is very important as well. So we cannot overemphasize the importance of collaborators as it relates to novelty and innovation. Now, when we talk about novelty and innovation, it is very, very important that your idea or ideas align with USDA priorities. This is because USDA sets priorities for research funding based on current needs of the agricultural and food producing sector. So you have to be sure that you are clear on what those priorities are as you start to develop your idea. And these novel proposals must align with USDA strategic goals. And on the next slide, we'll show some of those goals in the event that there may be some individuals who watch this who may not be as familiar with those. Also, novelty and innovation are very, very crucial and critical components of the review process. Having served as a reviewer on a review panel many times, a lot of discussions happen around this idea of novelty and innovation, because there are a lot of good ideas out there, but are they really novel? Are they innovative? And of course, funding is not unlimited. An agency only has so much money to award. So those proposals that are novel and innovative have an increased chance of becoming funded. Okay, so here is just a snapshot. I wanted to show you some of USDA's strategic plan goals. You can see them listed there. It's 5 of them are on the screen. So you have to make sure that whatever your idea is, it must align with that, because that is also a part of the review panel's job, to make sure that your idea actually aligns with the strategic goals of the agency. Because if they don't, the comment may be, this may not be the appropriate agency for this particular work. We typically don't fund this type of work because it is outside of the scope of the strategic goals of the agency. So it's very important that we have a very, very good idea of what those strategic goals are. Okay. So USDA has a mission, and one of its key priorities is to ensure food safety. It is a key priority. So, of course, this relates to FSOP, this program that this particular work was funded, but for many other programs as well. It's also important to remember that when your proposal exhibits or shows that it's novel, that it's unique, that it's innovative, you are telling the review panel, you are telling USDA or whatever agency you are applying to that you are committed to advancing agricultural practices to improve food safety and food security. And of course, the agency likes this. The review panel likes this because this is one of their main goals. So we tend to think of this idea as novelty and innovation as, yes, it has to be present, but think of it as when you submit a proposal where novelty is present, innovative ideas are present, you are telling the agency that we support your goals, we support your mission. So that is very, very important. Okay. So we also cannot mention novelty and innovation without talking about cutting edge technology. Our proposal should clearly articulate how the work that we are proposing incorporates state-of-the-art technologies or methodologies, or how it's different from the way these technologies or methodologies or processes have been used in the past. So that has to come across very, very important within your proposal. When this does, as I mentioned before, your proposal increases the chances of being funded. So it's very important that a lot of thought is given to this beforehand. Okay, so innovative research methods. When we talk about this, we need to be sure to describe novel research methods or experimental approaches that differentiate your project from existing practices. And how do you find this out? Through literature searches. So again, a literature search is key. It is paramount. There's no way around it, because that is the only way you're going to see how your proposed work actually differentiates between what is already out there. And I will add here as well, a strong proposal actually discusses the closely related work, because you want to convey to the review panel, to USDA, that you are clear on what work has been done, which makes you clear on how your work fills that gap in knowledge. Novelty in research methods, technology approaches, it showcases the potential for groundbreaking contributions. So this is very, very important, because you want to show the agency, you want to show the review panel that what you have is fresh, it's new. That in turn increases the chances of your audience adopting what you have. So again, review panel and funding agencies, very, very important to focus on this, because the agencies and the review panels definitely are. At this point in the presentation, I would like to turn it over to Dr. Aubrey Mendonca, where he will pick up on the topic of collaboration.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Davis. So another important aspect of highlighting novelty, innovation, and uniqueness is cross-disciplinary collaboration. And why I say this is that you and I might have the greatest idea, but if we have people from different expertise coming together and discussing that idea, we can come up with an idea that's far better than each one of us thought about before, and it would be unique. That even the funding agency would say, wow, this is a real unique idea. And I must say this, in this day, we have farm to fork initiatives, from farm to consumer. And unlike 40 or 50 years ago, the challenges in food safety and agriculture are multifaceted. And therefore we need expertise from different disciplines to solve them. Therefore, this is a key element that reviewers look for in our proposals. So what we'll have to do is really bring together experts from diverse fields, right? So that they can come up with innovative solutions. So once we have that in mind, that we have to get a unique idea and we have to have a multidisciplinary team working interdisciplinary, of course, we have to look to see how our project can be broad. How can it probably span across other initiatives? It doesn't have to span across all, but if you look at scalability, it's the actual the definition for it is the ability of a business or system to grow or to expand, right? So the question is, if we ask, how is our proposal scalable? Does it have a broader tentacles across other areas in agricultural production? It's important. For example, we might have a food safety approach that is unique. Maybe it's an additive to a juice or some beverage that can destroy microorganisms and improve food safety. But interestingly, that additive has what we call a multifunctional benefit, like a health benefit. Well, that cuts across the nutrition area or the health area. Those things need to be highlighted in our proposal. It's a new multifunctional additives that processors may not have to buy an antioxidant or an antimicrobial or a nutrient. All of that would come under this one thing. I'm just giving an example of how I think uniqueness can probably come across. So when you think about scalability, we really have to show how our proposal really aligns with the broader agricultural initiatives. And also, you have to show how. We shouldn't say it will. We should actually state how it will do that and explain the contribution to growth and competitiveness of the agricultural food sector. So what would be a good proposal without relevance to stakeholders? I think this is another important point, because when we write proposals as faculty members or researchers, many times we are very scientific and we're really on track, but we miss the main point. And the main point is, can be coined up into this question: have we sat down with stakeholders and policymakers and asked them what their problem is? Because unless we do that, we will miss addressing the current changes. We need to show that we are addressing changes that would impact our target audience in unique ways. And we have to have a forward-thinking approach that resonate with stakeholders. And what we mean in the end, how is it affecting stakeholders? So our advice would be to make sure that once we come up with the ideas with our group, let us say we and our co-PIs sit down and we got this idea, let us get stakeholders' input very early in the process, because we might find we're totally off track. And also, when we develop the project, we develop it from a stakeholder perspective. And if we get them involved, we can constantly ask them for feedback, because their involvement should be continuously across the project as the project progresses. So the other aspect is long-term sustainability. So I would say this: I think reviewers would ask the question, what would be the impact of this project beyond funding? And I think that is a point that is, from my experience on panels, that's a point that many researchers miss, although they have great technical write-ups. If something is going to build capacity of your university, show how. If it's going to make a better community become self-sufficient or empowered, or farmers are getting a greater return for their product, we need to highlight those sort of things. So basically, if we're looking at community engagement, capacity building, integration into our local community systems, and also community ownership. Any of these that we can actually align with would be very, very powerful for our proposal. So all in all, the question we can ask with resource sustainability is linked to what is going on now globally. We're actually using up a lot of resources, and we're producing a lot of waste that have a negative environmental impact. Now, if we have a novel idea, an innovative idea that shows we can probably replace a current method, but this new method has very little environmental impact negatively, we need to state that. So really and truly, our novel proposals should really incorporate sustainable practices, right? If it's a new method of doing something on the farm, maybe that method doesn't generate as much waste as before. Or if we have a cutting edge technology, that's also important. But it's also important to bear in mind the 3 A's. If we do have an important novel technology, make sure that it's not pie in the sky. Make sure it's accessible, affordable, and available to our target. It could be small farmers. It could be small processors or distributors. Those things sometimes proposals miss. Things become very expensive, and it's of no use if smaller farmers or processors can't use it. So in our proposals, we need to show a commitment to long-term sustainability. And the way we show that is not just stating that it will augur well for long-term stability, we should state how. If we can't find how, we need to go back to discuss and find ways how the proposal would address, for example, environmental concerns or promote sustainable practices. You know, you might have, let us say, you have a new produce wash that can kill microorganisms. I allude to that because I do a lot of research on that. But then how it's novel is that unlike other synthetic washes, it is highly biodegradable. So basically when it goes into the environment, it doesn't contribute to negative impacts. And then demonstrable impact. This simply means you're going to have to demonstrate the impact completely. I would say this: if we have everything right that is stated in this webinar, the reviewers would say this is a very good proposal, but I find the major question they ask is, so what? Right? Reviewers looking for the bigger impact. So make sure this is clearly stated in the proposal. State how things are going to be done. For example, if we state that we're going to increase production yields with this new method, we have to outline how we plan to do that. Or if we say farmers would get a bigger income that they're making now, how? Or if you're going to improve food safety, it's got to be measurable outcomes, right? Practical applications are very important. So basically, you have to demonstrate impact. So one of the emerging factors with proposals these days is what community benefit accrues from our proposal. And we tend to get wrapped up in the science and sometimes forget the immediate community. So this is where our extension agents who can be part of our proposal come in. Community engagement and outreach are very, very important. But if we can show new ways or innovative ways of engaging with the community would be great. We can probably state after we gather this research information, we have a novel extension program by which we're gonna disseminate this information. Or we have a very new educational initiative. Or we have this technology now, we're gonna have it so user-friendly that the whole community might be able to use it now that people have cell phones. But here again, it must be accessible, affordable, right? And that's accessibility going to be very important. And so as we look at community engagement and outreach again, it must have a positive impact, not only in the community, but to the broader agricultural community. As I said, we're looking at a farm to fork perspective, and none of us is an expert in every one of the nuances of food safety from farm to fork, from the real farm where the animals or the plants are being produced to the consumer. So we have this group, this collaboration that Dr. Davis talked about and that I mentioned the importance of, right? The whole idea is to come up with innovative approaches that positively impact the broader agriculture community. Maybe it impacts farmers or it impacts processors. And most importantly, because USDA funds are public related, reviewers would want to see some real public benefit. It must have a public benefit. And they're always looking for novel and innovative projects that create some public perception. Not that the science is going to be stuck in a library, but if USDA is going to give us public money to do research, let us show strongly how it's really and not cosmetically going to benefit the public, right? So at this time, I'm going to have Dr. Armitra Davis come back on to provide us with information on the series of training webinars for our technical assistance program. And Armitra?
Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to remind everyone about the webinars on demand that we have available for you. You can just scan the QR code there and you will be directed to those. I think you'll find those resources very beneficial. And of course, these are just some of the recorded webinars that are also available there as well. So hopefully you have a chance to take a look at those to increase your knowledge in these areas. I want to remind you about our upcoming seminars webinars that we have planned for you. We have tomorrow developing a work research plan, defining metrics for success. So join in for that, and then you can see all the other ones that are listed there. Very, very excited about our summer grant writing accountability group. You can sign up for that right now. You can just scan that QR code. We will meet each Wednesday. And you can see the times there, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time via Zoom. We'll start each session with a round robin of grant writing goals so that everyone is clear on the direction that they're trying to go in for that particular day. There's also a progress spreadsheet so that everyone will be able to actually track their goals. We will have members of our team available for you to assist you. And so you can see the sign up there or the QR code. So please, please take advantage of this very, very valuable resource. Okay, that is it. I will turn it over to Dr. Shaw.
Well, thank you, Dr. Davis, as well as Dr. Mendonca, for coming on and giving this. Again, the question and answering is present. I would turn to Christine and say, do you have any other tips or tricks that you would have related to innovation and novelty as our grant writer guru?
No guru here. I think everything that is important has been mentioned here. Really focus on identifying the gaps in either technological capability or general scientific knowledge that your work will fill. It doesn't have to be life-changing. It doesn't have to put science on its head. Every incremental improvement in our body of knowledge will be that piece that sets you apart from the competition. So really bring that into focus. It's all in your head. You are very deep in your field and you know all this, but the readers are not. So spell it out for them. Don't imply it. Make it very clear. That's it.
Thank you. So as we wait, I have a few questions for y'all. So the first question is collaborating with others really necessary? If I have a novel idea that I can execute alone, can I just do it by myself?
So I guess, Christine, did you want to start?
Oh, go.
So I'll start, and I'm sure others definitely have an opinion on this. The tendency is to want to do things in silos, especially if you are introverted. But grant writing is not the place for that. Because what the agency really wants to see, they want to see how your idea or how your proposed research connects with what others are doing. And a lot of times this involves cross collaboration. So the other aspect to really, really remember with this is that several minds are better than one. So it's very nice to have other people that you can bounce ideas off of, because something may make total sense to you. But then when you go talk to others about that, we use the term, okay, let's play, I'm going to play devil's advocate, right? So your collaborators will challenge you on the ideas that you have. And so I just think you miss the opportunity. There's no cross-fertilization of ideas when you work alone. So that's all I have to say. Christine or Aubrey, do you have anything to add?
Well, I throw something else in there. Show me the one problem that we have in agriculture, in society in general, in engineering, that one mind can solve.
Yes.
They do not exist. And also, while as scientists and engineers, we tend to focus on our solutions, we typically do not consider or put into consideration the impact it has on communities, on their well-being, on development. So we need other people who focus on these effects of what we are proposing to do. And you want to include that. You want to show reviewers and funding agencies that you are aware of your societal environment. You're not sitting in your silo, as you called it, and coming up with great ideas.
Yeah. So I can add to that a little bit. I think there's a sociological part of this whereby with new faculty or assistant professors, they would like to show and wave the flag. This is the proposal I brought in, and I brought in all this money, and I'm great, and I have this idea. But I would say this, maybe that happened 50 and 60 years ago, but the problems we face now in science are really complex. And as Christina said, no one person, unless you have 8 degrees, 8 PhDs, right? That you can solve them. And even then, your mind doesn't have the capacity to do it. So it's an open and shut case. Let us get collaborators, and also co-PIs, but do not put them on cosmetically. Make sure that they have a tangible contribution. Somebody might be upset with you because you didn't invite them to be part of the group, but you have to make that decision because it could hurt your proposal.
Yeah. I love that because I'm working on a grant. I've been sharing it, and we have engineers, plant scientists on it, somebody from sociology on the grant, ag communications is on the grant. We have no skill set in those. And yeah. And it will be called out in the review panel.
Yes.
They will call you out if they feel like the problem you're going to solve needed someone from climate or needed an astrophysics. They will call you out and say, this team does not have the expertise to solve the problem that they say they have. So I love that.
Yes.
I have another question. We've all been there. If you do a literature search and you discover your novel idea really isn't novel, it's been done before, should you have 2 or more ideas as backups? Or how do you approach that if you've done your literature search and determined it's not novel anymore?
Make sure you start us off. You're very good at starting us off.
Okay, I definitely agree with Angela. We have all been there. So we don't want anyone to think that because you thought you had this really unique idea and you did a literature search and you realized that this is not a gap in science. This piece of the puzzle has already been solved. It does not mean you're not a good scientist. What it means is that you did a really, really good literature search. You were able to catch that early. So you were able to pivot before you spend a lot of time writing a proposal on something that has already been done. So as I mentioned before in the presentation, when you search the literature, you're searching to see if your work has been done, but you're also going to see where other gaps lie. So that is where you use that opportunity to say, okay, this was my initial idea. It's already been done, but I also found this out through this literature search. And then you're going to consult with your team that you've built of collaborators to see what they think about it. So that's my take on it.
And from my end, the fact that your general idea has already been followed doesn't mean that they could do everything that you had in mind. There may still be gaps that needs filling. It may not be the big idea that you wanted, so it will be more incremental, but as Armitra said, pivot, find that tailored approach to another problem where this idea actually has not been used, or where it has fallen short, where still gaps exist that you can fill. And I can only strengthen what Armitra said. You're not a bad scientist because somebody did it before. You showed that you are a very good strategic scientist who realizes these things before you invest time and money into it.
Yes, and I would add to Christina's, I'd add a corollary to that. It's quite typical for us when we see that paper or two where our idea has been done before to throw our hands up and say, oh my gosh, and you get into depression a bit, you know that it's done already. But what I would say, don't throw it away. Get that papers and concepts, sit down and talk about it, and find if you can have a more innovative or better way of doing it. Yes. That would cost people less money or less environmental impact. You know, that might be novel. You know, that could be a good way to think about it. It's not giving up too early, you know.
And one thing I would add to that, I love a good 2.0. So a 2.0 is when someone took a project and they ran out of money, or it's that conclusion of every paper. What's in a conclusion of the paper? It says, if I were to do this again, this is what I would do. Or these are the gaps that are still need to be filled to truly understand the results of that. That is where your novelty comes in. You can always have a 2.0 or make it transferable. So I love to take projects. Maybe it was working with Black farmers in Alabama. Just throwing you out there, Armitra. So maybe it will work with Hispanics serving farmers in Texas. It's a different population. We have different gaps, but if it's proven because of specific things like low literacy or there's commonalities, then can it be transferable? It's a different population that have uniquenesses, but we could try it. It's a proven method, good to back you up. So I love a good transferable project or a 2.0 project.
Yes.
I love that.
I like
love that.
I like that.
And it's innovative and novel.
Yes.
I feel like writing a proposal right now, Angela, you know? Okay.
So another question I have, and then we will end, is can I still have a competitive grant proposal if the novel idea for my proposal does not fit with the criteria linked to the novelty and innovation?
Why don't you start, Aubrey, and then Christine, and then I'll go. That way we change the order up a little bit.
Well, yeah, I would say that the first thing to do is not look at our webinar as a checkbox type of scenario where you're ticking off and meeting, because you have to look to see at the relevance. Not all problems fit some of the things that we talk about, not every one. You have to see how relevant it is. And even if you think it's not relevant, discuss it with your co-PIs, because they may have a view that you didn't look at. So we can't say that take 100% of what we're seeing, all the criteria, and make sure you fit it into the proposal. Don't do that. That would be cosmetic. Honestly see how your initiatives align with some or more of these that we talk about, and really make sure, show how it's connected. I mean, that's what I would do. Yeah.
And I would add probably to that is another aspect is that we've been talking, we had Dr. Jody Williams on here. That's your program manager for that, but every grant has a program manager that you can present that white paper. Dr. Christine showed us how to write that white paper, that one pager that we could present that novelty and ask before.
That's right.
That's what you should do anyways. And if you question yourself whether what you want to do fits well within the current list of priorities, and they change, keep that in mind, then a good question to your program manager is, I question, or I have this question, would there be a better home for me? Can you guide me in how to tailor this for either another call, another directorate, or internally to make it a better fit here? It's not a reason to throw it away. So.
And I just agree with what everyone has said. I mean, that's really, really good advice, because there are so many different directions you can take, even with a proposal that doesn't fit that particular opportunity. So, yeah, so I agree with everyone.
Are there
here's another thing that the program officer may tell you. It's not a good fit here, you're right, but be aware, there is a call coming in July, in September. Keep an eye out for that. That would be a better fit for you.
So we're waiting to see if we have any additional questions that might come in related to this topic, but I will also give just a tip. Always keep those projects I always keep a running list of ideas. So for me, early mornings are my time. So when I have ideas, I jot them down, and you never know when they might come back when there's a call that comes out. But remember, we're saying 6 months for prepping for it. So we might need to skip around, but always having those ideas, because as a PhD or a scientist, that's what we do. That's our PhD mind. We're made to solve problems innovatively.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well said. Nice. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank our guests today for coming in and giving us all of this information on innovation and novelty. Again, reach out to us if we have questions for additional, and we are here to answer questions. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and we'll see you again tomorrow as we talk about research plans.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Yeah.